Mortal Kombat is one of the biggest fighting game franchises of all time, but somehow it always seems to be playing catch up. It's one of the most recognizable franchises in the Americas, but every time a new Mortal Kombat drops, it always blows up. You have huge sales, crazy hype, and everyone's playing it, but then like a few months later, people start going back to other fighting games. So what's actually going on here? I just wanted to talk about this because why does Mortal Kombat always feel like it's just a step behind its competitors such as Street Fighter and Tekken? But if you guys don't know me by now, I'm MrFrostyFlamez, but you can call me Mike. I do anything gaming news, reviews, analysis, and playthroughs. If you like that style of content, make sure you drop a sub and join the FrostyFlamez Legion. We're almost at 1,700 subs, which is amazing. So I would really appreciate it if you guys drop a sub, and let's get on with the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is the gameplay. Mortal Kombat has always been focused on accessibility because you have simple inputs, easy to understand mechanics, and you got flashy cinematic gameplay. If you compare like special move inputs from Mortal Kombat to other games like Street Fighter or Tekken, it's surprisingly simple. For example, an MK1 or any MK game to input like a special move, it would just be like down forward or down back and then one of the buttons on your D-pad, whereas in Tekken and Street Fighter you're gonna go like diagonal and stuff like that. So there's more variety in the moves in Street Fighter. I mean, like you could go down diagonal to the left and right and then left, you know what I mean, to put it in simple terms. But to be honest, I don't think that's a bad thing for Mortal Kombat. I feel like that's why it sells so well, because it's so casual based. But compared to games like Tekken 8 or Street Fighter 6, it could feel less deep long term, because those games reward movement mastery, frame knowledge, and long term skill growth, while Mortal Kombat sometimes feels like you have to figure it out faster. And when that happens, players just move on quicker. And I think that there's also a competitive scene problem, like the competitive longevity. Mortal Kombat has a strong launch. It always does. No matter if the game is trashed on or anything, they always manage to build hype and give a strong launch. But it struggles to stay consistent in the competitive scene. It sort of dies down. And you could compare that to other EVO Championship game staples like Street Fighter, Tekken, Guilty Gear. They have long-term support from other fighters, and basically what I'm trying to say is the players in between those FGC groups sort of bounce around. Like sometimes you'll see like a Tekken player go to Street Fighter, a Street Fighter player go to Tekken, etc. Guilty Gear going to wherever else, right? But they never seem to bounce to and from Mortal Kombat. I mean, it has happened before, but it's kind of rare. Like I know Tekken Master goes to Mortal Kombat, Sonic Fox goes to Guilty Gear, goes to XKO, everything, right? But those are just like anomalies in the franchise. Usually Mortal Kombat players just stick to Mortal Kombat and Injustice, whereas the other FGC players sort of bounce around a little bit. And I feel like that's another reason. It's because Mortal Kombat players often feel like balance patches are inconsistent and the mechanics change too much between games. So if you learn, for instance, Mortal Kombat 11, you can't really get into Mortal Kombat 1 because you have to learn a whole new mechanics. You know what I mean? Because MK11 fundamentally was a different game from MKX, which is a different game than MK1. Like each game changes so much, so there's less stability over time. So serious FGC players don't always stick around, and the only ones that are playing fighting games are really the competitive players. I'm sure they do have casual fans like myself. I am both casual and competitive, mostly casual now because I'm a bit older. I don't really have time to learn all the characters and stuff, but I feel like as a casual player there isn't really much to do, especially in Mortal Kombat games. And like I want to go deeper into why this might be a big hidden problem, because Mortal Kombat sort of reinvents itself every single game. There's new systems, new mechanics, and you even have old mechanics removed. See, on paper that sounds really good, but in reality it resets the player investment. Meanwhile, games like Tekken series and Street Fighter, they build on what already works. So players could carry skills from one game to the next, and Mortal Kombat doesn't always do that. So it's like you have to learn a whole new game, and a lot of times the game is trash when it comes out. And another thing is Mortal Kombat always focuses on content over systems, and it is amazing at it. Obviously MK1 kind of sucks with content, like there's nothing to do, but Mortal Kombat as a whole is great with content. They're amazing at making cinematic story modes, making fatalities look super cool, and a lot of spectacle guest characters that everyone loves and they go viral. It's amazing at the presentation of the game, and it's arguably the best in the genre at that. But sometimes it feels like the gameplay systems take a backseat, like they don't focus or think the gameplay out through enough, because like there are some systems that are just questionable that like fans don't really want. And while other games focus on refining the core mechanics and deepening the gameplay, Mortal Kombat is just focusing on the presentation and spectacle. And over time, that difference shows a lot how Mortal Kombat players usually drop off compared to Street Fighter and Tekken. Street Fighter and Tekken, they are alive for years and years and years, while Mortal Kombat seems like on year 2 it just has to die no matter what Ed Boon wants to say. And it puts Mortal Kombat in a spot where it's trying to be casual and hardcore at the same time, because that's a weird spot in the middle, trying to be casual, friendly, and competitive. Usually fighting games either take a seat and be casual or be all on competitive, right? Because if it leans too casual, hardcore players would leave, you know? And if it leans too complex, casual players won't even play it. Other games usually commit to one direction, but Mortal Kombat tries to do both, and it ends up not satisfying either side. But you know, in general, Mortal Kombat isn't really a bad fighting game franchise. I don't think so. It's far from it. But it feels like it's always choosing short-term success over long-term depth. And until that changes, it's always gonna feel like it's just one step behind the rest. And even now, it's worrying because, like I said, Mortal Kombat is really good with content. But it seems like Street Fighter and Tekken are starting to catch on and build a community for their casual players with the World Tour mode in Street Fighter 6 and that arcade avatar story mode thing in Tekken 8. And for me personally, I loved the World Tour mode in Street Fighter 6. I feel like if Street Fighter 7 comes out, they could do something to improve it heavily, where it could be a full-on open world RPG within the Street Fighter universe. That would be cool. And I loved it so much because it was so reminiscent of Mortal Kombat Deception's Conquest mode, which in my opinion was the peak of Mortal Kombat story mode, because it was basically like an action RPG inside the Mortal Kombat universe in the game, on top of the fighting and everything. Now that was what Invasions was supposed to be. That's what everyone thought it was going to be, something cool, maybe like a Baldur's Gate, you know, tabletop RPG in Mortal Kombat. But no, we got nodes and mobile game like features in Mortal Kombat 1. And based off of how it looks now, that's why I say that Mortal Kombat is falling behind, and it's already fell behind in a lot of aspects. And the one thing that it had was its content, but now it seems like it doesn't have it anymore. So NRS really needs to change and adapt to the changing fan base and listen to its fans if they want success in any fighting game in the future that they make. But anyways, that's just my take on it. I'm sure there are other reasons why Mortal Kombat sucks as a franchise compared to Street Fighter and Tekken as a whole, and why its competitive scene is failing all the time. But let me know in the comments down below what I missed. And if you like this video, make sure you share, comment your thoughts, and subscribe and join the FrostyFlamez Legion. Thank you all for watching. MrFrostyFlamez out. Ciao.